Welcome to the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the show, leave a comment, and click that like button. Welcome back to another edition of the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. This is the Marvelous One, back at it again with Don. Don, what's shaking, baby?
Man, you got it. Let's go. We got some good guests on the show tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as we continue our draft coverage leading up to the draft that's on Thursday, we got some guests on the show representing the teams, starting off with Landon representing Jets Nation. Then we have Herb representing the Commanders. And then Big John representing the Philadelphia Eagles. What's good, fellas?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on, fellas. We love to get the fans' perspective of what's going on with their team. So, we want to hear from you guys. But, man, hey, we got to start off with you, Landon. The Jets with the big move, getting Aaron Rodgers, man. Finally, we've been waiting. We've been talking about it on the show. It's been driving us mad, man. How you feeling about it?
So it's interesting, man. So one, again, thank you for having me. I'm a diehard Jets fan. It's been interesting being a Jets fan my whole life. Like I got, wondering should my kids ever become Jets fans? Like, should I put them through it? But the reality is I'm proud to be a Jets fan. And in full disclosure, though, and I think it'll show you that I am a really objective person. I was never been the largest or the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. And what I mean by that is I do think he is one of the most talented quarterbacks ever. But I can also make the argument that he should have won more than one ring, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to be considered the GOAT quarterback or one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, I think you have to have at least a 2-ring conversation to at least be put in that. Look, Tom Brady's the GOAT. There is no argument. There's no question, right?
Right.
Number 2 is Joe Montana. And then after that, I think you can have an argument, and Aaron Rodgers is there, but just having one ring makes it questionable, right? One ring rule.
I got you.
But with that said, if you look at the New York Jets over the last 10 years, or even better, the last 6 years, the Jets have ranked either 28th, 29th, 30th, or 31st in overall quarterback and offensive, every advanced offensive metric that you can imagine. So even at age 39, mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers' skills are declining. They're not what they used to be.
Right.
He is still better.
Yes.
Than any quarterback that the Jets have had since maybe Vinny Testaverde 1998 when we went to the AFC East Championship.
Maybe.
That one kind of season that we had with Chad Pennington before his shoulder fell off. Like, so that just gives you an idea what we've been dealing with. Now,
good point, Brett Favre.
Right. Well, Brett Favre, right. Brett Favre was having a great season in 2008 until he blew his bicep tendon, and he probably should have rested, and we might have been able to finish that season. And then that's interesting, though, because let's look at the similarities and the mirroring of Brett Favre coming to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers was drafted. Jordan Love was drafted to Green Bay. It's funny how history can repeat itself.
Yep.
But with that said, the one thing that I find interesting in some of the conversations, and when we look at the trade package, I have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers told the Jets that he's going to do this for more than 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because they decided in the total draft package, the Jets, I think, did pretty well if it's true that he's going to play for at least 2 years. The Jets swapped first-round picks, going from 13 to 15, which is about the equivalent of giving like a third or fourth-round pick. And they got the 170th pick, which is a fifth-round pick, in exchange for the Jets' 13th pick, second round, the 42nd pick in the second round, and a sixth-rounder this year, with a conditional second, which turns into a first-rounder if Aaron Rodgers plays at least 65% of his snaps.
Yep.
So that trade is a good trade unless there's just a mitigated disaster of a season where, let's say, the Jets have to make at least the playoffs. Like, that is, we have the longest playoff drought of any professional sports team right now out of all the 4 major league teams. We have not been to the playoffs since 2010. So right out the gate, the playoffs is the bare minimum, the bare floor. I would actually make the argument that not only do you need to make the playoffs, we need to at least win the first round of the playoffs. And honestly, I would say the AFC Championship. But with that said, the AFC is stacked. You got to go through Kansas City. You got Buffalo. You have Cincinnati. If the Ravens get back Lamar, you got the Ravens. You have the Chargers, even though I think the Chargers are overrated to a small degree. I have to believe the Denver Broncos are going to be better with Sean Payton as a coach, and hopefully Russell Wilson gets his act back together. And then every year there's always a surprise team that comes up that you're not expecting, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, but with that said, if you look at the Jets were in playoff contention leading up to Week 14, and we did this with Zach Wilson and Mike White. We almost made the playoffs with Zach Wilson and Mike White. Put that in one category. And the reason why we did is because we could run the ball. Brees Hall, who got hurt, who was going to be Rookie of the Year. Our other Rookie of the Year, who did win Rookie of the Year in Wilson, was probably now going to be a top 10 wide receiver with Aaron Rodgers at the helm now. We have a defense that gets after the quarterbacks. We have arguably a top 3 cornerback already in the league in Sauce Gardner, but defensive Rookie of the Year. Yep. We have the building block of a defense that is going to be dominant. And think about it. When you have a quarterback that can actually be a professional quarterback and not whatever Zach Wilson was, that helps the defense. Think about it. We had the fewest first downs of any team last year. Do you know what type of pressure that puts on your defense?
Yep.
So all of that turns into what we can do in the draft. With the 15th pick, it is clear that you want to make sure that you have consistency at the offensive line. I believe that the Jets will try to draft the best offensive lineman that is available at the time. If one of the top 4, Broderick Jones, I would think is my best guess out of UGA. But if he's not there, if the slot receiver out of Ohio State is there, I can see them going wide receiver. If they do not actually go offense in the first round, they do need a interior defensive lineman to go with Quentin Williams, because we did lose Sheldon Rankins.
Oh,
we did sign Quentin Johnson from Seattle, but I can still see us try to beefing up the middle or going safety. However, I don't think there's really a safety that is a first round graded player right now. Branch maybe out of Alabama. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Then if that is the case, maybe the possibility is they trade back so they can recoup some of the draft capital they lost trading for Aaron Rodgers. So Broderick Jones, or the best offensive lineman, I think is their first round pick. The second round pick, we have the 43rd. We trade the 42nd to Green Bay. I believe Jack Campbell out of Iowa, who is a linebacker who had a 9.96 RAS score. He is instinctive, fast, and what I like about him best, he had the highest pass coverage rating of any linebacker in zone in college football last year. The New York Jets play heavy cover 3 zone, and the linebackers was probably our weak spot in our defense last year, one in range, instincts, and pass coverage. If they do not go linebacker, I can see them going center. I like the kid out of Minnesota. And I like the center out of Wisconsin. We did just sign Connor McGovern, our center, that played the last 2 years for the Jets, but I still think we need offensive line depth. After that, I can actually still see them going wide receiver. We don't have a 3rd round pick because Elijah Moore was packaged for a 2nd round pick to Cleveland. So that'll be our 4th round pick. I like the kid out of West Virginia, limited route tree, but his athletic scoring was off the charts. Outside of that, I can also still see us getting more defensive help, because in our defensive scheme, you always need edge rushers. We do a heavy rotation, and we need guys running off the edge. And go back, so that is my draft strategy. Offensive line is first. Second, I think we need a good linebacker. 3, shore up the rest of our wide receiver room. 4, a good free safety. And now in free agency, I think we still might try to sign 1 or 2 players. I think the most underrated free agent signing for the Jets, we signed Morstead, the punter from Miami. Brendan Mann, our punter, was horrible. And look, it's a punter, right? Special teams are important. Special teams, especially when you have a good defense, you got to be able to flip the field. And Morstead was one of the best punters. He was with the Jets when Mann got hurt 2 years ago. And then last year, last year, man, was horrible. Morstead was very good for Miami.
Yep.
And I think that's going to make a difference.
So I got one question. So everything with the quarterback goes with, I mean, you can have a great quarterback and you can have great wide receivers, offensive lines, but until you have that team building event, where is Rodgers going to be? Because he needs to be on that field like day one. Because remember, the AFC is not going to be a cakewalk.
It's not.
Nobody's. I mean, it's not like he's playing where he was used to playing, where he could just roll up his sleeves and then try to No, you're not going to put on a cape and just walk through the league like that. So I don't see Raj. I just don't see Aaron coming to practice early. I don't see him molding the teams. He didn't even work with the wide receivers that he did currently have.
So everything you say is valid. And that was actually part of my own negative critique of Rodgers before he's being a Jet. But now I got to be a homer and support my quarterback, right? But one, they're saying that his press conference is going to be tomorrow. Because initially saying, oh, he wasn't going to be here. He wasn't going to come here in the summertime. But it sounds like he's going to be here for camp. So that's impressive.
That's
he
good.
already knows the offensive coordinator. His 2 seasons ago, the offensive coordinator for the Jets now was his offensive coordinator when he won his last MVP. So he knows the system. He has Alan Lazard, and probably Randall Cobb is probably on his way somewhere to a
Right.
league minimum contract. You know what I mean? So I think the team building is key. However, what I do think is him coming into the room. Also, I think the team is going to just come to him. You know what I mean? Because they are going to believe, because they've seen that this team can still win when we had one of the worst quarterbacks in NFL football history, possibly.
Wow. Wow, that bad?
It's bad.
Well,
So to go from that to an above average Aaron Rodgers, I think they just believe. And we saw what happened when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. Just the belief in the quarterback changes everything.
well, last question. What's your prediction for the season? What do they do? What happens?
I will say the three key
This
aspects.
is recorded.
One, offensive line help. Mekhi Becton has to stay healthy. If Mekhi Becton stays healthy, we get an AVT back, assuming Breece Hall can come back and perform at the level that he did last year with ACL tear.
Sound like 8-9 to me.
I believe the Jets will go 12-5.
12-5.
Wow.
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 With the Bills in your
12-5.
division? That's
We beat the
winning
Bills.
the division.
Zach Wilson beat the Bills last year.
Okay.
This is recorded, Marv.
So you're sweeping the Bills this year.
No, but
Okay.
You're gonna sweep the rest of the league.
no. I mean, listen. The Jets have a tough schedule. We have the AFC West,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the NFC East. Well, the NFC least, and then
How disrespectful. Okay.
but I can see us going. I see us going 12-5.
Okay.
I'm saying if Aaron Rodgers does what he think he can, what I believe he can do, we get the draft picks that we need. The offensive line stays healthy. That's the key. The offensive line stays healthy. That is my asterisk. I can already see him right now writing it down, watermarking when I said 12-5. As long as the offensive line stays healthy, my prediction comes true. So that means
taking a picture.
So the question though is, does 12-5 get us the AFC East? I don't know, because I do think the Buffalo Bills are going to take a step back, not a step forward.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's interesting. 12-5. All right. Well, let's hear from an NFC East team here and a fan. Let's go on to Herb. What's going on, Herb? How you feeling about your Commanders, man?
I think the way we ended that season last year, putting our foot right on the Cowboys' neck, that's where we're going to start out this year. Sam Howell has everybody rejuvenated. The sale of the Commanders has everybody rejuvenated. I'm talking D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. I'm expecting a couple of them Raven fans to come jump on ship. The sell the Commanders with Magic Johnson, the Harris Group, and Rails. I mean, this is huge stuff, right? I think now, man, that it's cool to be a Washington football fan again, and I'm looking forward to all you guys coming on. We got room for you.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, no doubt. We got room. Remember, I said that. We do have the 16th pick this year, right?
Mhm.
However, I'm anticipating us trading back. We tend to do that. But if we don't trade back, I'm looking at I think Skronsky is going to fall. That's the lineman for Northwestern. Where we got to go O-line. We got to go O-line. But however, there's what I think they are going to do versus what I feel they should do. What I feel they should do, I haven't heard anybody on board with what I think, and I'm going to share with you guys. What I think they should do is trade back, all the way back with Kansas City. Kansas City is looking to trade up. So that's the 31st pick. And with that 31st pick, you know who I'm drafting? The drum roll. I'm drafting a kid out of Tennessee, the quarterback, Hooker.
Hooker?
Oh, Hendon
Yep.
Hooker in the first round?
So you get the 5-year option. You want to get him in the first round, so you get the 5-year option.
Thank you. Somebody that understands, because the first year we're gonna have to redshirt the kid, right?
He's hurt. The ACL tear.
You want a quarterback on a 5-year rookie deal. You want a quarterback on a 5-year rookie deal. Now, if this kid didn't tear his ACL last year, arguably he would have been a top 10 pick, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So we have this kid, Sam Howell. I'm very excited about him. I wanted us to draft him. He did to the Cowboys what I thought he could do, but I have to be honest.
Okay,
I cannot put all my eggs in one basket. I can't. I mean, the guy had one good game.
Right.
I mean, and I'm a diehard fan. He had one good game, and I'm trying to remain optimistic, and I am, but by the same token, right? I have to have a contingency plan to go forward. And if I can get Hooker and move again, trade back, get it, and to go from 31 to 16, they're going to have to give us a second and a third round pick in addition to swapping ones. A second this year, third next year, right? Again, if I can get Hooker on that 5-year sweet deal, because right now, you guys know we got 4 first-round picks on the defensive line. That's going to get into another conversation, by the way. We got 4 first-round picks. We got Chase Young. We got Jonathan Allen. We got the kid. We got Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and a kid we just signed. I can't even think of his damn name. The other defensive tackle. But anyway, I expect us to trade one of them defensive ends before the draft, right? We just can't pay them all. Oh, that's the rumor out there.
Is that Chase Young? Is that Chase Young? Is that going to be Chase Young?
Wow.
Well, right now, it could be Chase Young or Sweat. If you're asking me, it should be Chase Young.
Didn't Sweat just sign a new deal?
No, he didn't. Chase Young, no. We haven't even given his 5th-year option yet. We haven't signed.
Not Chase Young. I'm talking about Sweat.
No. Sweat hasn't either.
He hasn't either? Okay.
No. The 2 that it has is my interior lineman. Both
Robinson,
of them did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Allen, and I just can't think of the other kid right now, but he made All-Pro this year too. So we got the interior lineman, but to be honest, and I know this is going to sound negative coming from me, a diehard Commander fan, but I got to get more from Chase Young to be a number 2 pick, the 2nd overall pick. Right now, he has 9 sacks in 3 years. I understand he's been hurt, but that's what he has. That's what he has. Mm-hmm. He has a total of 9 sacks, a total. Now, I'm expecting this guy to come in and reach havoc. I was expecting him to be Michael Parsons, somebody that's a game changer, right? I mean, he came with a lot of hype, and I just need that. I need that. Last year when we were making our run towards the end, Rivera was trying to beg the man to come back, and he was like, mentally, I'm not there. But you're cashing that $17 million check, right? So I need you to be available. I need you to be able to play in pain. This is football, right? If the doctors okay you, to me, you got to get out there. If the doctors say, we clear you to go back, then if you get hurt, it's on the doctors. in my opinion.
They cleared
But
Griffin,
when you let
Robert
him,
Griffin, didn't they?
They sure did. Ended his career.
well,
I'm not a
yeah,
I'm not a
that
professional
was a tough.
athlete, but man, listen, in high school I tore my ACL, MCL playing football. And physically, I remember I was getting back there, but there's also a mental part that they don't
Yes,
talk
it
about.
is.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and I think at that level too, like the amount of pressure on your body, and as a DN where you really got to be able to bend on that edge and use that
I
speed
get you.
explosion, that ACL is so
Yes.
you know, essential for
Yep.
a really good defensive end. So I do
But
think
you
you
have
give
to
him some
gradually
leniency.
get out there and gauge what's going on with yourself.
That's
You
true.
got to get out there at some point, because
Yeah.
now if you don't go out there, the beginning of the season, you're going to be like, well, what can I do? I need you to be full throttle now. If you would have went out there last year and eased yourself back in there, so the beginning of this season, you know, you're going full blast.
But
So
Herb,
that's
I hear you, but I mean that's your prize defensive end, man. I mean, you're not talking about some 5th, 6th round draft pick there. You got to be careful with him. He could be
dude,
something
I have
special.
to be honest with you. We have 4 of them cats,
Mhm.
all first round picks, right? And Jonathan Allen and the other kid I'm talking about is Deron Payne.
Deron Payne.
Right?
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm thinking of.
Deron Payne. We got 2 of them dudes making over 24 mil a piece. So that's our bread and butter right there. Right?
Yep.
Right? So Montez Sweat and Chase Young, I can't pay $100 million for a defensive front. They would have to be the 85 Bears. They would just have to just be totally dominant. Like,
Right.
soon as you drop back, you fat. And,
Right.
and that's not realistic in today's, it's not realistic.
Be
So,
careful. Be
you know,
careful, big fella. Be careful. Philadelphia is exactly that.
Oh, rivals.
Oh, was that who was that? The
Be
Eagle
careful.
fan?
Be careful.
Oh man,
We got the
Well,
numbers to prove
yeah,
it.
well,
Be careful.
Hey, Herb,
okay.
but
You didn't have it
Hey,
that
Herb,
last game. I
hey,
saw
Herb,
you
I got a
play.
question in regards to you have a new offensive coordinator, but you're talking about getting a weapon that you cannot immediately use. I don't think that's going to be the goal that, the
Well,
Commanders, because you have a new owner and you have a hyped up offensive coordinator that needs weapons right
yeah,
now.
let me expound on that. Right, this isn't a short fix for us. Right, if I can have 2 really good quarterbacks on rookie deals, 2 on rookie deals. Now I know you're
You
looking
got
at
2, you
how
got
like
none.
Exactly.
no.
You got to put your arm around one of them.
Well, right now, this is my thing right now. I just don't know what I have and how, right? I just don't. That's my reasoning for wanting the other kid. That's because I just don't know how I went 5th round. I get it. But to me, he was a first round talent. You know, all his talent left, and it kind of exposed him a little bit. But anyway, I'd rather have 2 birds in my hand than whatever that saying is.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean,
I want 2 shots at it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not sure what that's telling Sam by taking a guy that's a 3rd round grade in the 1st round. That's not showing a lot of faith in him. But I hear you.
Who you think is a 3rd round grade?
Hendon Hooker. He's considered
3rd round grade.
Yeah.
Well, he might be a 3rd round grade, but in the reality, we know the value of a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even a backup quarterback is a very serviceable backup quarterback can be the difference between your team going into the basement or staying afloat. Now, what I will argue why I think his trade back argument makes sense is that there's arguments that this is a very top-heavy offensive draft if you're looking for offensive weapons. Mm-hmm. So if you're not convinced that one of these wide receivers, some people are just saying only 2 wide receivers have a 1st-round grade, then yes, trade back and getting a project quarterback that, let's be honest, remember, he beat Hooker, beat Alabama. He gave UGA trouble. He was balling.
I watched that. Absolutely. That kid is very talented,
right.
man.
Now he's also 25 though, right? So he's older and all that.
And he's coming off a knee injury. Let me ask you this question. I mean, you laid it all out for us. You told us what the Commanders should do. What's your record? What you doing next year? Are you going to the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. Wow. Now let's talk about No, absolutely. Yeah. I feel
I
very
can't wait
strong
to hear from
about.
Big John. Go ahead.
Well, I feel very strong about
Nah, we
our
always send more
quarterback.
than one of the playoffs. He can go two. That's fine. Just know that Philly's winning the East again. That's all we need. That's all we need to
I feel
clarify.
really good about our quarterback situation, right? Even with Jacoby Brissett right now, he can give us some wins, right?
Okay.
I'm thinking realistically, mm, mm, 10-7 on the light side. Absolutely. You got to realize what we did last year with no quarterback. With no quarterback last year, we were right there.
With
So
the state of the NFC East,
and not only
10 and
He
7
said
ain't gonna
7.
cut it.
That's not even
10 and
wild
7
card.
ain't gonna cut it.
That's not wild card.
Well, I mean, he can make wild card at 10-7, but the thing is, he's not going to win in 10 games.
Yeah, I said that
No.
it's on the low side. Guys, Eric Bieniemy is going to make that team.
You're not gonna give him no weapons. You give him a whole
Yeah,
bunch
you're
of
going to
guys.
get him a quarterback that you can't use. So,
ho. You guys are sleeping on Howell and Brissett now. Come on. You guys going to really be entertained this year. That's what I'm going to tell you. With the receivers and the running backs that we have and Bieniemy, I just can't wait. And you guys are local, so you get to go to some games with me. I sit there right in the front row, so you can see everything.
Herb,
I'm right there in the front row.
We call this show the voice of reason for a reason.
Facts.
So I hear you, buddy. We'll see what happens. 10-7, man. Yeah.
On the low side.
On the low side.
On the low side.
That's not even the ceiling. That's the floor.
That's the floor.
Yeah, that's definitely not gonna cut it in the East.
Big John, go ahead, man.
Listen, fellas, listen. So he appropriately, you said voice of reason. So he appropriately placed his team where they belong. Because obviously he hasn't watched the game in a long, long time. Because last time I checked, Philadelphia and Dallas haven't finished no less than 12 and some change in the last 3, 4, 5 years. So that's putting you out of the playoffs already. Unless we send in 3 out of the East.
I know we've been feasting off of it last year. The Cowboys and the Eagles. We didn't have Eric Bieniemy. We didn't have a quarterback. So I'm very comfortable. Very comfortable.
Still don't have a quarterback.
Still don't have one, but right. Okay.
But I got an offensive coordinator that can help where we have a whole lot. Right?
Okay.
So, that sounds like a hope and a prayer, but okay.
Okay. Man, let's talk about Hurst's new contract. I can't take it anymore.
What's going on, fellas? I just wanted to step in here, say appreciate you, invite me out, and taking a look at it. What we got right now is we know Jalen Hurts just signed that $255 million contract for 5 years, and making him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, right? So that's concerning to me because a very valid point was made earlier, and we let a golden opportunity slip through our fingers last year for the Super Bowl, because that was our time to shine. That was going to be the one that we needed to get. When you start coming back and you start paying these players blockbuster deals, then that means other positions go void, right? Because you can't pay everybody. So this is going to be the beginning of the end, or this is going to be the beginning of something great, because Jalen Hurts truly is that good that he can elevate the guys around him, because he's going to have to be.
Well, to be honest with you, I thought the biggest miss by the Eagles was not re-signing him last year. Giving him an extension last year when he got you to the playoffs.
I would agree.
You would have saved if you'd have signed him late. Yes. So
agree.
Now you got to pay it. You got to pay the man. But
ain't gotta. It doesn't happen.
Oh yeah,
they didn't get that man in $255 million. So this year, going into this season, 2023 season, the 2023 season is going to be pivotal for the moves that are being made by front office this year. He's going to have to be as good as he was last year, if not better than he was last year at obtaining talent on the low. Because at the end of the day, right now, as we all just stated, Philadelphia owns and has owned we have the best defensive line in football. Last year, we came through stomping skulls at 70 sacks. The next closest team to us was Kansas City with 55. So that in itself speaks volumes for the team and where we're headed in the future. The losses, everybody's going to say, yeah, we did lose. We did lose a linebacker. We lost TJ, and we also lost Hargrave, right? We
Your
lost CJ
second best
Gardner
defensive
Johnson as well.
your second best defensive lineman you lost to San Francisco
So
at that.
let me get to that. Let me get to that.
Line.
Hold on. Let me get to that. I understand where everybody's going with he was our second best defensive lineman because he anchors the line, right? If you do remember, a year before we drafted a kid named, what was it? Davis. What was his first name?
Jordan Davis from UGA.
Jordan Davis from Georgia, right? That young man is a monster, and he's going to get out there and show out and show up. Now, back to the conversation about being the second best defensive lineman. I can argue that fact because last year we had 3 jokers with 12 sacks. You had Josh Sweat had 12 and a half. You had Hargrave with 12, and then you had Brandon Graham with 12. Because our sack leader with 19 and a half was Hassan Reddick.
And all that, we had 0 sacks in the Super Bowl.
Well, that's neither here nor there, sir. You didn't show up. Your team wasn't even nowhere in the conversation.
We got the offensive coordinator that put that together.
I'm gonna need for you to grow a little bit better on that. I'm not done yet. Not done on that. So we own the best defensive line in football, point blank, period, right? So as we start looking at this and we start going through the things that the teams have, let's flip that coin. Let's flip it to what everybody loves to talk about is the offense. We have the best offensive line in football. The only other 2 teams I could say who even come close to our O-line is going to be out there in Baltimore and in Kansas City, probably. Those are going to probably be the other 2 O-lines that can even scratch a sniff what the Eagles have been able to do and put together on the offensive side of the ball. So when we talk about controlling the trenches, we already know going into this thing in 2023, barring catastrophic injuries, that we will have yet another formidable season, and we're going to win the NFC East, point blank, period. We coming out 14-3, same record as last year. And like I said, it's going to be an easier pathway in the NFC, like both of you have already articulated earlier, is that it's much harder in the AFC than it is in the NFC. We have a handful of teams that's going to be able to get out there and get the job done at the end of the day. 4 or 5 teams in the NFC, without a shadow of a doubt, is what people can hang their hat on as going the distance for the NFC. AFC is a whole lot harder because you have a gang of talent, and you just got Aaron Rodgers over there. So you just added even more talent to the AFC. So for us, for the Philadelphia Eagles, when we're looking at overall draft predictions and overall needs and at certain positions, I'm gonna have to be honest. I gotta go. We gotta go and look into replacing and adding depth at 2 positions, in my opinion. The first one is going to be at running back. I am so tired of us having this running back by committee going on back there and having to figure out who's going to start this week. Miles Sanders, yeah, he was great, but he dang sure no Brian Westbrook or no LaShawn McCoy. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, he just couldn't stay healthy enough to stay on the field the whole duration of which we had him on the team. So I think that we need to figure out what we're going to do, whether it be, I know there was some stuff in the news I heard about them trying to get Derrick Henry and stuff. We can't afford
heard
that.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't afford no Derrick Henry too. We can't. That's definitely not going to be the pathway we have to go.
That would be scary. That would be scary, though.
That would be scary.
that short yardage between Jalen Hurts and Henry.
That's the problem, though, right?
And I wouldn't want to see that.
If any team, and I'm not knocking on Baltimore like that, there, Don. I'm just saying, if any team goes season in and year out, and your quarterback is your leading rusher, that's a problem, because that right there in itself is lending yourself towards injury. 1, and 2 is that the scheme that is set up and in place is bound to fail at some point during that season, because that quarterback's not holding up for no entire season running the ball in the trenches like that. And that's my worry for Jalen Hurts, is that he does way too much running right now. The calls from the coach and actually putting him in a position to run as called run plays is way too much. And I think last year it was heavily called just because we didn't have the depth and we didn't have what we needed in the backfield to get it done in short yardage for the most part. So I think that's the number one thing that we need to shore up. And I think we can definitely do that in this draft. We have 2 first-round picks. We pick in the first round at number 10, and we pick again at number 30.
You're welcome. We gave it at number 10. The dumbest trade ever.
Hey, well, we show appreciate it.
Well,
would you be against the Eagles drafting the running back out of Texas with the number 10
so
pick?
you're talking about Bijan.
Robinson? Yeah, Robinson. Yeah.
You talking about Bijan. So no, I want him. That's who I want. That's who I want at 10, right? But I think that, so here's the fan in me talking. The fan in me, over the last 2 or 3 years, Dallas has always picked before us, right? So they've always had a pick, 2 or 3 picks before us, and they've always been able to grab that top tier talent before we were able to draft in that place. So my fear is that, as you well know, the main competition in the East is between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Point blank. Period. Ain't nobody else coming out of the East. Let's just put that out there in the atmosphere.
The NFC East is better, man. I mean, the Giants played much better.
Mm-hmm. They can't even get Saquon to commit. Stop it. That's the best player on that roster, hands down. And then they went and paid the quarterback all that money.
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay. Well, with all of that in mind, what's your record? I think you already said 14-3. Are we going back to the Super Bowl? What's going on?
We click and repeat. Bottom line, we running that 14-3 back. Absolutely.
Wow, with no drop off.
You didn't even talk about who's calling the plays.
The assistant. You're right. We lost the offensive and defensive coordinators, and their assistants stepped up to take the jobs this year. So there's going to be no change. I'm not worried about that. I honestly, truly believe that if we can shore up I talked about the running back position, but the other position that we have zero depth at is linebacker, because we had 2 linebackers leave or they signed with other teams. And right now, I believe on the roster, I've got Josh. No, that's the way I got N'Kobe Dean as a linebacker. And then we got Hassan Reddick. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then we got Nicholas Morrow. So, but there's no real depth there at that position after that. After they go down or one of them goes down, then we're talking about bringing in jokers like Avonte Maddox or bringing in, Patrick Johnson, jokers I've never even heard of at this point. So at the end of the day, I think we've lost extreme depth at linebacker, and we need to figure out what we're doing in that backfield. Because I think they got to protect their investment. You done spent $255 million on that quarterback. Now it's time to make sure you protect that man and don't run him every other play and and end up getting him hurt. So I think that you go out and you go big and get a solid, decent talent at running back. Although we did go pick up Rashad Penny from the Seahawks, so we went and got somebody. But like I said, I don't believe that's what we need right now. I mean, yes, he'll be great in short yardage. He's a bigger back. He's proved, short yardages, but he's also proved that he can't stay on the field as well. So I just think that's a problem in itself too. So I think Bijan would definitely be the pick that I would scoop up first, and then go back and shore up some more off different positions on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I love the confidence. I love the confidence from all 3 of you guys, man. And I appreciate you guys coming on the show. So, to our listeners out there, thanks for joining us. We do this thing every week. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.